Back again with another match review. Westham 0, Liverpool 2. And this time it is a clean sheet. I'm not going to do a results based analysis here and say that it was all rosy in this game. It wasn't. The truth is that it wasn't. Liverpool didn't play explosive football. It was far from that. It was 2-0, where we got the first goal in the second half. And the second goal came after 90 minutes when West Ham were down by a man. And even when West Ham were down by a man and Liverpool had a man advantage, we were still under the cosh. We were under pressure. West Ham almost got an equalizer. So it wasn't all rosy in this particular game. The one thing and the main thing that I think won Liverpool this game was the change in approach, the change in mentality. The whole mentality we went into this game with was to not concede a goal. The manager didn't want to concede, and he made sure the players were on the same page with him in terms of not conceding a goal. And I think the manager would have been okay with the draw if it had ended that way, because we needed to stop the bleeding. The bleeding had to stop. The concession of goals. And I really look forward to seeing that same mentality in our next 3 to 4 games, because we need to stop the bleeding first and foremost. We have the attack to be able to get us a goal here and there, but we need to keep clean sheets. That should be our first and foremost priority. And I think that was the reason why we won today's game. I don't think we changed anything necessarily tactically. I don't think it was the change in personnel that won us the game, but the change in our approach and mentality, that we are not going to go into the game and be arrogant and try and attack with insane number of bodies thrown into the opponent penalty box with no rest defense. In this particular game, we always had enough bodies behind the ball. And we didn't try to pin West Ham back, because that was what they were expecting. We didn't pin them back. We gave them the ball at times. We tried to press high, and if the press didn't work, we went back into a compact shape. And I think that was what won us the game. Before I go on, let's not even start to disrespect Mohamed Salah and try to blame Liverpool's problems on him, because he isn't the problem. He is not the problem. It is not about a single player dropping out of the team or coming into the team. We also didn't win this game, of course, because we had Joe Gomez at the back, because we played 3 centre backs. That wasn't the reason. The main reason is that in this particular game, we didn't see any of our defenders isolated one-on-one at the back. Kerkers didn't have to dive in and make rash challenges because he wasn't isolated most of the time. He always had backup. He always had someone close to him who could make the tackle, even if he missed it. So he wasn't panicking. And this was what I was talking about some time ago, that the manager needs to help the players. They are not playing at the level where each and every player is at their peak and playing to the best of their ability. So he needs to help them. He needs to make sure that if one person makes a mistake, there's someone else to cover. We always had bodies in the box. West Ham got close to our penalty area on multiple occasions, but because we had more numbers than them, they couldn't create a chance. They couldn't create a shot on target. In the second half, in fact, there was a situation where West Ham got the ball. I think it was Fulkrug who got the ball at the edge of our penalty area. He tried to dribble past one of our defenders. He made a tackle. Maybe it was Van Dijk. I don't remember. He made a tackle and it wasn't a good tackle. He missed it. So Fulkrug still had possession of the ball, but there was someone else, another Liverpool player, covered and won the ball back. So that was what I was talking about. We need to always go into games thinking that we aren't going to concede in this game. And if we can do that, I think we have the attackers to put away the few chances that we create. Because, to be honest, in our previous games where we tried to pin opponents back, try to play in their half, really what we've done is really play in front of their formation. And that gives us very little space to create anything. Today, we didn't really go into this game trying to create a lot. We just wanted to make sure that we wouldn't concede a goal. And that is what we did. And for me, the win is a byproduct. It's just a surplus. It's just a bonus for keeping the clean sheet. As I said in my preview for this game, just give me goalless draws in our next 3 games. That is what I need to see to be able to say for sure that Liverpool are coming back to some sort of normality. Because at the moment, we aren't there yet. And as Isaac said in one of his interviews, we need to be humble. We need to stay humble. We need to recognize that in this particular Premier League, you don't win games because you are a good attacking team. You win games because you can grind the win. Because in most games, we will need to grind it. We will only have a handful of games where we will dominate the game and score a lot of goals with our attacking players that we have. We need to grind out the wins. That is how the Premier League is played. There is no other way. Last season, we won the league, but I can count on one hand the number of games that we absolutely steamrolled the opponent and scored 3, 4, or 5 goals. It was only a few games. For the rest of the games, we had to grind out a win or a result. And that is what we did today. We need to have that mentality that when we are going into games, first and foremost, we shouldn't concede goals. That is the first thing. No matter how talented we think our players are, that is the mentality we need to go into games with. Because for me, I think in this particular game, Nuno Espirito came in expecting Liverpool to pin him back, and then he will be able to exploit the spaces in the transition. But we didn't give them any of that. We didn't pin them back. Usually we kept the ball in the midfield, popped it around, and then we went long through a long pass in the air or on the ground. And in that way, we were able to exploit the spaces behind their formation. We couldn't score from that, of course, but we were able to create some few chances, and we didn't give them anything to encourage them. And that is what we need to do going forward. That is what I expected Arne Slot to do right from the beginning of the season. He didn't do it. We kept conceding chances upon chances and goals upon goals, even when we were winning. And I'm surprised it's taking him this long to be able to recognize that we need to keep numbers behind the ball, and we need to have the attitude of not conceding a goal in every single game that we play. I think at the beginning of the season and up till today's game, the emphasis was too much on scoring goals, try to outplay the opponent, try to surgically break teams down. And for me, that is the hard way of winning a game. The easier way of winning the game is to soak the pressure, make sure you don't concede, and then nicking a goal here or there. That is what Arsenal have been doing throughout the season. And immediately we realized that we're going to find it hard to be able to prevent teams from scoring. I think we should have gone back to that because we have better attackers than most teams in this particular league. And we can play more in transition than most of our competitors. So we should have really used this particular strategy. So let's keep this up. It would be absolutely unnecessary and wasteful to go into our next game and repeat the mistakes that we made in our previous games. Because for me, still, we are not a good team we haven't gelled well enough to be able to create chances upon chances and surgically break down opponents who sit back. So when teams come and they want to sit back, let's give them the ball. Let's force them to play and break us down. Let's turn the tables on them. And that is what we did today to Nuno. He didn't know what hit him. He didn't know what was going on. They didn't know whether to attack or to sit back because they had the ball for most of the time. And when we got the ball, we controlled it in the middle. We didn't pin them back. We drew them out. We played it in the middle for them to come out, and then we went long. So in most of our attacks, we only had about 3 or 4 players running into Westham's penalty area. We weren't putting 6 players in the box like we have done previously in some of our games this season. And for me, it is the attitude, it is the passion, it is the desire to defend that won us this game. Something that has been lacking for the most part of the season. And the fact that we're able to bring it back, that is why we won this particular game. Florian Wirtz came in and had a good game today. No doubt about that. But without the defensive solidity, we wouldn't have won this game. For me, that is the number one reason why we won the game. The defense was solid. The fact that Mohamed Salah didn't play, you can argue, gave us a little more balance in terms of how we defended from the front and also how we attacked, right? Because he hasn't had a good season so far. But that is not to say that he is the main reason why we've been losing. That is not to say that at all. But if we need to keep him on the bench in a game or two in order to give the team the best chance of winning, then we have no option. The manager has to do it because at the end of the day, it is him and his job that will be on the line. When the results don't go well, it is the manager who will be questioned. And if anybody needs to take the blame and be sacked or lose their job because of the result, it is the manager who is going to lose his job. So he took the right decision today, selecting the lineup that he did. For me, I think it gave us balance in terms of pressing from the front and also defending with numbers at the back. And that is what we needed. We needed numbers at the back at all times. We all talk a lot about Arsenal being the best defensive team in this particular league. And for me, I don't think it is because they have the best individual defenders or they have the best back four. I think it is far from that. Arsenal have the best defensive record in the league because they defend with a lot of numbers. They are always outnumbering the opponents when they are in defensive situations. You never see Saliba and Gabriel isolated 1v1. You never see it. They always double up on players. They always have someone, a midfielder, a right back or a left back, doubling up to make sure opponents don't get any chance. So that is how we can ensure that we don't get too many goals against us. We don't concede unnecessary goals. Because if you have a lot of space to defend, inevitably you are going to make mistakes. That is just how football is. So what I expected from the manager was to make sure that he reduces the amount of space players need to defend in. Kekes was struggling because of that particular issue. He wasn't having any cover. Nobody was helping him to defend. And he had that at Bournemouth because Bournemouth players, they run back. No matter what, they run back. They cover spaces. So you don't get isolated 1v1 on many occasions. So that is why we saw the best of Kekes. So if we want to really get the best out of these players, we need to first have a solid defensive base. And then from there, we can build on that to make sure that we can win games. Because we have the attackers to do it. The attackers are there to win us the games. So that is what I really liked about today's game. The fact that we went into it with the mentality that we are not going to concede. And that should carry on for the rest of our games. this season. That's recurring until we reach such a point where we feel we have gotten to a mature stage where the players know each other in terms of how they construct attacks. Because at the moment, we are still not creating enough. For me, we are not creating enough because the forward line is almost new. It's almost entirely new. The forward line that started today, it was Gakpo on the left, Isak in the middle, and Soboslai on the right. Behind them was Florian Wirtz. So that is an almost new front line or front four. Only 2 of those players were in the team last season. The remaining 2 are new players. So it means that it is going to take time to gel. So if we are going into games, our mindset shouldn't be that we want to break teams down surgically. We want to pin them back and use intricate passes, 1-2 passes, quick passes to break them down, because we are not there yet. The chemistry hasn't reached a level where we are able to do that. So we need to be defensively solid first, and we can hit teams on the break. Because if Isak has space, he's going to cook. If Ekitike has space to run into, like the goal he scored against Eintracht Frankfurt in the Champions League, he's going to cook massively. He's going to make delicious meals, and Liverpool fans are going to enjoy. So that is what we need to do, really. I'm really quite surprised that it is taking us this long to realize that we need to be defensively solid first, because the desire and the passion to defend hasn't been really there for this Liverpool team. And the only way to help them is to limit the amount of space they have to cover to defend. And today we saw that. So thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe. Also like the video. Thank you to all my subscribers. The channel has reached 40 subscribers so far, and I'm grateful to everyone who has subscribed. And continue to watch the videos and also share. See you. You never walk alone. Take care.